I'm Michael Connor, and I officially had the bye week blues because the Texans are playing good football, and now they don't play this week. We're going to talk about a lot of them tonight as we get you here on the squad.
I'm John Hickman, and finally, we hear something from Nick Caserio regarding Joe Mixon.
You already know Stan Fleet is in the building. And if there has ever been a worse time to have a bye, it's this week for the Texans.
Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
I'll just say it, saddle up and squat up, because for some reason the intro music just wants to stop playing. Hello and welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Michael Connor. There's Stan Norfleet and John Hickman. We're with you once again on a Tuesday, our normal middle of the week spot a few minutes earlier. We appreciate you guys doing
Got the
that.
club going up.
The people coming in and joining us live. Of course, you can listen to John on the daily podcast. Also, you can get this podcast anywhere that you get anywhere that you get your podcast. I got to stop talking so fast. Go and search Locked On Texans. Hey guys, guess what? We don't have football this week. We do have plenty to get to. Nick Caserio spoke today. Do we have an answer finally on Joe Mixon, as John alluded to? Maybe. We'll get to that in just a bit. But, of course, the Texans are coming off of a very big win over the Baltimore Ravens. 2 consecutive really solid wins. One against a bad Titans team, and then the other against a bad Baltimore team this year. But doing it, making us feel better on Sunday. A couple of days later, after you've had a chance to go back and rewatch some things and go over some things, are we feeling any better about the Houston Texans today than we were on Sunday after a big win?
Oh, see that last piece, that's the one, John. Am I feeling better than I did on Sunday? Listen, the Houston Texans on this 2-game winning streak, outscoring opponents 70-10. This is the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL, and what was the worst offense in the league is now still in the bottom third, but they're towards the top of the bottom third. So things are improving, yes. But when I went back and looked at the tape, that wasn't the Baltimore Ravens. Still the NFL. But that Baltimore Ravens team they faced on Sunday might have been worse than the Titans team they faced the Sunday before. I mean, they were a shell of themselves. You got young dudes all over the place. And again, I get it. The Texans played their fair share of young dudes. Baltimore, this has just been an anomaly for them this entire season. 4 games now, they've given up 35 points or more. And that's not to cast any aspersions on the Texans. They went to a very difficult place to play. They took the crowd out of it, what I thought was essential on that opening drive. All the things we talked about on Sunday. There's not a lot of negative to take away from this, and that's not what I'm trying to do. What I am trying to quantify, to some degree qualify, is I do believe in looking at the tape, if the regular Baltimore Ravens had shown up, not saying the Texans would have lost, but it would have looked a lot different. However, the Texans have what they need. And I just hate it that it's a bye week right now, going into week 6, because we like to see this momentum continue to build.
Absolutely.
How you feeling, John?
I still feel good about this 2-3 team because I feel good about a 2-3 team. I think that they put together, some good wins, and going back, watching the game, I had a chance to look at every drop back for CJ Stroud. He just looks extremely comfortable in that pocket right now. The offensive line in the last 2 games has done a good job of giving CJ some time back there to operate. And also the combination, in conjunction with Nick Haley in the last 2 games, doing a very good job of designing plays that will allow CJ Stroud to get the ball out of his hands quickly. I think the last 2 games, his time to throw average is the best on the year compared to the game before against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where it was closer to 3, and that's due to the amount of pressure CJ Stroud was getting, so he had to hold on to the ball to try to make a play. So you just like to see it. Stan, you talked about it, highlighting Dalton Schultz operating underneath for the Houston Texans.
Playing good ball.
Yeah. Some good ball, been a good security blanket for that offense, allowing the offense to just move forward, stay in front of the sticks. And so, again, you mentioned This isn't the Baltimore Ravens team, as I've called and joked about. This is a great value version of the Baltimore Ravens team that we have come to know over the course of the last 2 decades. But, I saw a team for Houston that took advantage of the advantages that was there for them. In the first 3 games, that wasn't the case, right? And so we got to give credit where credit is due, and also just the growth of Nick Caley's offense and CJ Stroud commanding that offense in the last 2 games.
Now I went back, and I don't watch it with, I guess, the same eyes that you guys do, because you guys are a little bit more trained on it than I am. I will always admit to you that. But I absolutely went back and I watched plays that were called specifically. And I got to tell you, I finally felt like they looked like a dynamic offense a little bit. Am I wrong for thinking that? Like, for the first time, it felt dynamic. Like, I love to watch other teams. You watch Buffalo's of the world. You watch Kansas City, we'll get to that in a bit, losing to Jacksonville last night. The AFC South is actually, we were talking about that the other day. It's a problem.
It was a crazy game.
But I just felt like watching that game back a little bit, they felt like a team that is capable. I'm not saying that they're there yet, of maybe being a more dynamic offense moving forward, because it just looked like they were moving quicker. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think, Stan, I know you got some words to say, but I think that the best word to use to describe the last 5 quarters of Texans football offensively is decisive. They knew where to go. CJ was quick with the ball, quick with his decisions. Again, protection matters. And, because of all of those things, it wasn't a lot of thinking. It felt like the game and the rhythm of the game just was able to flow for both the quarterback, the receivers, and everybody involved. So I think decisive is what I've seen from this Houston Texans offense the last 5 quarters. And that has allowed them to put up 70 points. It's allowed for them to not get behind the line of scrimmage as often. Against the Ravens, I have the number here, only 3 runs of negative yards. So essentially every time they ran the ball, it resulted in some type of positive gain. That's important. Woody Marks and Nick Chubb has complemented each other well. That's important. So those guys are just playing a good brand of football over the last 2 games of just being decisive with their decisions and getting to their spots and not hesitating.
And let the record reflect tonight. We got John Analytics before we got Stan Analytics.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. So, look, y'all know my terminology. I got to stay on brand. MC, you are correct. They looked more confident. They had a little more pep in their step because they could tell early on Baltimore didn't have it today. Now, the question that I'm going to pivot off what you're asking, because you're asking the right question.
I think I know what you're going to ask, and I think it's a good question.
After Sunday's game, you asked me, Stan, are you buying Nick Caley's offense? No. It looked good through those 5 quarters. It looked good. No question about it. But we can't take out of context, though, like the opposition in those 5 quarters. And when I look at what's coming up, the next 4 opponents for the Texans coming out the bye, starting with Seattle, they have a 14-6 record, so that's 70% win percentage. Ask yourself this: do those same plays work if a more formidable opponent is on the field? Now, it could be both, Stan. Yes, some of that stuff still was going to work because the Texans were in their bag that day. I played in games that we were at our best. It just happened to be a night where the other team was at their worst, and you get scores that look like that sometimes. Do we think that's going to happen versus Seattle? So I'm saying 2 things can be true. Yes, the offensive line has been better. Yes, they look more confident. Yes, you get guys like Xavier Hutchinson, and yes, you get guys like Nick Chubb continuing to look good, leading this team in rushing. Yes, you get the best ball, Dalton Schultz now, about a handful of tight ends playing better ball than him in the National Football League. You can have guys at their best, and you can have some other dudes that mail it in. I want to see who they are over these next 4 weeks where things look a little different. The defense played like the defense always does. So, again, we're just really talking about this offense. I appreciated the pre-snap motion. I appreciated some of the exotic formations. I appreciated the ability to get some inside runs, complement with some boot and some play action. We talked about CJ running the ball on that 30-yard scamper. He should have scored, by the way. The more I watch that play, the more I almost said something else. I got to watch my language. CJ should have scored, but it was enough to do what it needed to do. Two things can be true.
Can I add to that by saying I feel like Houston found their formula of what's going to work for them. I think those first 3 games.
How do we know?
Well, for one, you look at the last 2 games, their best running outputs, not by yards per carry, but overall total yards. They figured that out a little bit with Juice Scruggs getting in at left guard.
Still don't like it.
The pressure has been down from their left guard spot. The running.
So the worst teams pressuring the passer in the National Football League. The Ravens outfit, even when Roquan is out there. I'm talking about statistically. I'm not. This is not hyperbole.
That's true.
Statistically, to the folks that are watching, this is not hater stand. Stanalytics. Go look it up for yourself. The last 2 teams the Texans played do not rush the passer well.
They don't get out the quarterback well. No, I don't disagree with that, but I think that was an issue for Houston. Lincoln Tomlinson had some lowly lows, not a lot of highs. So you get Juice Scruggs in, and I do want to credit this coaching staff for not giving up on Blake Fisher, finding a role for him to be out on the field. He played in 32 snaps.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you got it.
46% of the offensive snaps, Blake Fisher. Do you know Blake Fisher played more offensive snaps than Woody Marks did?
Yeah.
He played more offensive snaps than Jalen Noel.
And it worked. It worked for him. The right side of the offensive line saw 4.5 yards per carry. So they found ways to get how can I put this, an all hands on deck approach to reach his full potential. You're even looking at how the usage for Woody Marks has increased up until the Tennessee Titan game, and then he actually played in more snaps than Nick Chubb did on Sunday. So just figuring out the dynamics of the players that they have on this roster. And we have to go back to what Nick Haley said when he first got here. It won't be a New England Patriot offense. It won't be a Rams offense. It's going to be a Houston Texans offense. And the reality of it is, these were his words. He said the reality of it was, we don't know what we got until we get our guys out there and figure out what they can do. And so through 5 weeks now, I feel like that he has a grip on what his players can do and how they can execute, especially when things are going good for Houston. So I think that they've kind of figured out their own formula. And through 2 games against 2 bad teams, it has allowed for the offense to put up 70 points and average 35 through 2 games.
And I don't know if you guys watched any of that Seattle-Tampa game the other day.
I did.
I feel like I know that coming out
Baker's the MVP right now.
Yeah, but Stan, I know you brought this up before. D'Amico's teams on lengthy rest haven't done very well, and that's going to be something that's very interesting to see. But they can score. They can score on Seattle. I think based on what I've seen, they could. Tampa move the ball all damn day.
But Tampa's good. Ibuka is probably going to be offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, I know.
And he could have had a Houston Texans uniform on. Y'all know how I felt about that. It could be a dude. He is a certified baller, and y'all know it. Talking about he's just a slot receiver. You can't do nothing else with him. They question his speed. Are y'all crazy? Baller written all over him like every other receiver that comes from Ohio State. It is unbelievable. All right, so I'm going to give y'all this because I heard this on the flagship station here in Houston. I heard this on Sports Radio 610. The Indianapolis Colts are number one. They're number one in the AFC in point differential. They may be number one in the league, but let's just talk AFC. Point differential. Number one, Colts. Would you believe the Texans are number 2? The Colts are plus 74. The Houston Texans are plus 47. I think that's wild. Now, some people are going to look at that and they're going to look at these last 2 games and scoring 70 points. Yeah. I look at that and go, this is the number 1 defense in the league, going and holding guys and taking the ball away. The Texans tied for 10th. The Texans overall tied for 10th in turnover margin, but they're 6th in takeaways. This defense is legit. It's more about the defense than the offense. But that plus 47 point differential. That was alarming. That shocked me, I should say.
It's
That's what
definitely a
happens when
huge
you
number.
hold teams to 14, 20, 17, 0, and 10.
Lowest points per game in the league. 12 points per game for the Texans?
12.2.
I'm glad you brought up the AFC South angle of it because I've got a question about that for you guys, and I have a question about what you've seen out of the first 5 games, disappointment and surprising side of things. We'll do that here in a brief second. Locked on Texans Squad Show. Before we get there, though, I want to tell you guys about PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, where every day, we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually, get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with PrizePicks, where it's always good to be right. Playing PrizePicks is such a fun and simple way to add more excitement to your football. You just pick more or less on players' projections, like Josh Allen's passing yards, Saquon Barkley running for a touchdown, and you're in the game. Make the lineup super quick. You can do it in under a minute. It's absolutely fantastic, and you're right there in on the action every single time. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Squad Show Tuesday. I got to bring the squad back. There's the squad. Stan Norfleet and John Hickman. I'm Michael Connor with you Tuesdays. And this week, for those of you watching, there is no game on Sunday, so we will not be with you Sunday. We'll be with you back in our normal off-season spot of Friday evening, talking all things Houston Texans. And, of course, just probably looking at the football slate ahead and going, man, you know what? I say that I'm sad that they're not playing football, but there's still football being played. I'm going to watch football this weekend. It doesn't matter.
Oh, for sure. But listen,
it was a great Sunday night game, by the way, from a team who
it was a great Sunday night game. And it was a great Monday night game, too.
Diggs should still be in Houston.
The boys at NRG, most of the boys at NRG would like to be playing this Sunday. I assure you of that.
I would believe that, too. I think the early bye sucks. I think it's the worst.
So last year it was a late bye. I think that was last year. It was a late bye. And then now
week 14?
Week 14, I think. Good Lord. Because remember they got the bye before they had that gauntlet, Miami, Kansas City, and Baltimore. And it was it was wild stretch. So this year it's coming so early. So you take it and you make it do what you need it to do. But there's just something in sports about being in a groove. And based on where this Texans offense was through 3 games, they want to go out and play and keep this thing moving. And I can't wait to see if they got that same energy versus, and I believe that Seattle is the top 10 defense. I'll look that up here in just a second. Go ahead, John.
They are the best running defense in the NFL. They're not number 1. I think they're number 2. The Houston Texans allowed for Tampa to rush for over 100 yards. Against Seattle, they were, I think, at 88 yards, 3.7 yards per carry. Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, those guys up front are tough to deal with. So I talk about Juice Scruggs and him being inserted to the lineup and how that's boded well for the Houston Texans. You're right. We will see what version of Juice and this offensive line we'll get when they get back from that bye week.
John, and I'm looking it up right now.
Give me the numbers.
Juice has not been playing. Juice has not been grading well.
Well, grading and odd test versus Lakin is weird.
And you know what? To hell with it.
We go.
Juice. This is just, and it's not hating. I'm happy for Juice. I know he wants to play. He's a young man that's a second-round pick that has a lot of pressure. And it's not about the money. Yes, he wants to look good so we can get a contract in a little bit or get an extension. I just think we've already seen this movie. I don't think Juice best serves in the National Football League as a guard. Now, I'm searching for something, and this is what they've decided they're going to do. And I think, do you think Juice Scruggs is starting guard for this team next year?
No.
Then why is he starting this year?
Because the starter that they brought in on a 1-year deal, who won't be here next year either way, anyways, because of that contract, he wasn't playing up to par. Juice, instead we've had this back and forth for a while because I thought that Juice Scruggs played better than Lakin Tomlinson during training camp.
Oh, here it is. This is what I've been looking for. Finally got my graphic. My man Texans Jacob threw the old PFF grades up there. Juice Scruggs is rated the 70 through 5 weeks, the 75th best guard out of 78 guards.
He's only played in 2 weeks. And
His
Sunday was
grades
his
are
first
50.
full game.
I'm sorry, his grade is 41.6. Sorry about that.
It ain't so it's but it's
Now, you know who's first? Hold on. John, you know who's the best guard in pro football right now, according to PFL? Ed Ingram, right guard for the Texans.
Ed has been good for Houston. Ed has been great for Houston. And I talked about this on the Locked On Texan podcast. That right side of the offensive line for Houston has been stout. 288 rushing yards on that side, 4.5 yards per carry. 2 of the 3 TDs on the right side. The 2 longest runs on the year, 27 and 30, the 30-yarder being the CJ Stroud. If you go back and look at that play, those guys created the lane for CJ Stroud. Against man coverage, by the way, where if he didn't take off with that ball, then we would all have been mad at him. But 30 yards there, 27 yards from a Nick Chubb, 10 first down on the year. That right side, anchored by Titus Howard, has been playing some damn good football for the Houston Texans.
Jake Andrews ranked the 30th center out of 35 qualified centers. So
that's okay. That means there's 5 worse than him. I'm just trying to be positive.
Through the last 5 quarters, it's been good enough. And I think that's just, I'm going to keep ringing that bell. Yeah. We want, no matter how battle red your heart is, do you really believe that offense is 70 point or 35 points a game on average? Do y'all really believe that's what they're going to be versus Seattle and San Fran and Denver? I don't think they're that. I don't think they're that. Okay, now, because I want to see the Texans win, how good do they need to be with that defense?
I'm going to tell you what they have to continue to do, though, Stan. And with that defense, they're going to continue to get these opportunities. Last 2 games, was it 6 or 7 in the red zone?
Mm-hmm.
So when you get down there, punch it in. Too many times, whether it was the first 3 games of the season or dating back to last year, where it was really frustrating because we had a full, it wasn't a sample size; it was a full course meal of not scoring in the red zone. When you get down there, they gotta punch it in. MC, you feel the same way about this Houston Texans offense?
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be 44 points in the game, right? But it does have to be. You get down to that 30 to 20-yard line and you're moving. And when you get inside that 20-yard line, settling for 3 after your defense probably is going to make a play to keep you in the game. The best third down defense over the last 3 games. They're number 2. They got to score 7 and they can't settle for 3. So that's what I want to continue to see.
To me, it's how you score when you get down there. What I mean is when Nick Caley gets in his bag and it gets down there in the low red area, are you having to make some tight window throws to Nico Collins like what happened in Baltimore? Now, that just happened to be the play that dialed up that work. CJ was in his bag. Or are you going to be able to run Chubbs and Marks? Through 5 games, Nick Chubb right now averaging 50 yards a game and 4.3 yards per carry. Nick Chubb has been, for me, he's met my expectation. I never thought. I said if he could be half as good as Nick Chubb at his peak in Cleveland, it'll be enough to compliment Joe Mixon. I know we'll talk about Mixon later in the show.
He's been good.
But this combination of Chubb and Marks it's given them something. I'm not going to say we're there, but it's given them something. And that's all you can ask for is week to week, build momentum. The Texans, they don't need to be playing their best football right now. You have to build to that. Go ahead.
Don't they? Because that was where we were going to go here to start it off. Because you look at the AFC South now, and you brought up the Colts earlier.
Tough.
Playing great defense now. They've got Daniel Jones having a career resurgence
MVP caliber season
this year. And they're 4-1. Their schedule is obviously they're going to play the same out of division teams that the Texans play, but look, they're not playing the first place schedule that the Texans are playing. And then there's Jacksonville, who last night finds a way to beat the Kansas City Chiefs on a broken play there late. Trevor Lawrence gets stepped on and then scrambles his way into the end zone. The Chiefs
probably see Chris Jones on that play
to pile up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Chris Jones.
But
Man,
how you guys feeling about
pass
that? I mean, like,
interference on the what's my man from Washington, the corner? Who's the corner for Kansas City that picked the ball off?
McDuffie.
McDuffie. On the McDuffie interception, they ran over a Jacksonville receiver. And then was that a touchdown when T-Law reached the ball over the goal line and they said they fumbled it away? I'm saying that was a tud. I'm sorry, MC. I know you're trying to get to something else, bro.
It's
No,
a crazy,
I mean, like, that's
crazy season for the AFC South.
It's just Chiefs refs always strike, man. But no, like, seriously, you talk about having to play your best ball. Don't they have to play their best ball right now? Because these two teams clearly, you know, I will disrespect the Jacksonville Jaguars all day and twice on Sunday. But so far they beat the Texans and they're playing good football. I think that they'll find a way to choke in typical Jacksonville form. But you know what? I can't right now. I have to go off what they've done. They look like a problem, and so do the Colts.
So
you have to
the
play your
Texans,
best ball now, don't you?
well, they got, and we talked about this on Sunday in the immediacy of the victory at Baltimore. The Texans dug themselves a hole.
Yeah.
And so you got to make sure that you're playing good ball, but we got a long way to go before you get to that finish line where you got to tighten up and you're really talking about playoff seeding. Right now, the Colts will be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Houston right now will be slotted in at the 9 spot, bookend by Cincinnati and Kansas City, all 3 of those teams being 2 and 3.
Cincinnati with their new quarterback, by the way.
Yeah, they traded for Joe Flacco, which the Browns, man, I don't know what they got going on. Whoever's doing Locked On Brown Squad show, they got to be like every day is just something wild. But nonetheless, the Texans are still within striking distance of a wild card spot. Somebody laughed at me on Sunday when I said the Patriots. How about now? The Patriots, 3-2 on the year,
3-2,
currently sitting in the
laughed.
7th spot. The Patriots have something, and I think they're going to be there at the end, perhaps. So, for the Texans standpoint, they don't have to be playing their best ball, in my opinion, MC, and I understand why you set it up that way. John, I just think they have to continue to be better. So, I'm going to say something that folks may have a problem with. The Texans can lose next Monday night in Seattle, but if the offense is reminiscent of what we've seen the last 2 weeks, I will call that improvement. They can lose the game, but look better. Look as good.
That feels like optimistic Stan coming out.
We don't get that too often.
Hogwash.
No, they got to keep playing their best football. Like you said, man, they started the season off 0-3. You know what's crazy? The first 3 games of the year, in hindsight, the Rams, playoff team of last year, the Bucks, playoff team of last year, they had the number 1 offense in the NFL in 2024. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are the now 4-1 Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, so Houston opened up their season, albeit every game was winnable. Every game came down to the last possession. You got 2 fumbles in that stretch. You got an interception in that stretch where maybe for Houston, if you take the points, the field goal against Tampa, we're not having this conversation. So maybe they're 1-3, 3-3 instead of 2-3, 3-2 instead of 2-3.
2-3, right?
And they could have very well been 5-0 in the season going into the bye week. I mean, that's how close those games were. But they got to continue to build off of what they've done, man, because it's only going to get harder for them. And not only will it get harder for them because of their schedule, but you're going to need Jacksonville to lose. You're going to need Indy to lose. You're going to need help from those other franchises. Now, Texas fans are holding out hope that Daniel Jones and Stan, I don't know if that was you who said it, but Daniel Jones could eventually, the clock could strike 12 on him.
Turn back to a pumpkin.
Turn back to a pumpkin, right? So Texas fans are holding out hope. But the thing is now at, they're 4-1, right?
Who, Jacksonville? Yeah, 4-1.
Jacksonville is 4-1, but the Colts are 4-1 as well.
Yes.
They can win these games by handing the ball off to Jonathan Taylor, who's playing better football at running back than Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, he looks really good.
So they have to, man, they got to keep being the best version of themselves. Because if they don't, if they slip up, I think if they don't go 2-2 at least in October, they can kind of kiss the playoffs goodbye.
That's what's so fascinating about how the schedule lines up. And you said something just then. What D'Amico's got to be drumming in their heads over the next week, call it 2 weeks before they got to play again. Guys, look how well the 70-10 over the last 2 games, combine that with the number 1 scoring defense in the league and what the chances the defense gave us in the first 3 weeks when we were going against better competition for the blokes like me who keep talking about that was a bad Baltimore team and we know a bad Tennessee team. So D'Amico's got to look at, and I'm sure he will, put up cut-ups of all 5 games. And he's got to sell the psyche of we're just laying bricks. And we're better than we were week 1. We're better than we were in week 2. We should be better in week 7, our 6th game, than we were in our 5th game from an offensive standpoint. We know he's going to put the pressure on the defense as well. I'm not sure how much more the defense can do, given they're now taking the ball away. 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions on Sunday, 2 by Petrie, 1 by Lassiter, and then the CJ not giving the ball up for the offense. I also what did y'all have them at? I had to go back and look, MC. You might remember off the top of your head. Our preseason predictions, I had the Texans at the bye week at 3-2. So here they are at 2-3. What'd you have them at, John? You remember?
I'm at 4-1. With a 2 toss, the Rams and the Bucks games were toss-up games for me. But I also had them at 4-1, losing to Baltimore.
Yeah, we all had them losing in Baltimore to start, for sure.
So the games that we had them losing, I mean, they still lost, but the game that we knew for sure they was going to lose, Baltimore, they pulled it out.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you trust this team led by the future franchise or the incumbent franchise quarterback? Do you trust this team to go on a run? Is CJ going to have to put that cape on down the stretch? They're going to have to score. Now, scoring is going to come down. I saw an article up this morning. There are more 40-point games thus far through 5 weeks of the season than any time in NFL history previously. So teams are scoring. But we all know when the weather changes, the war of attrition, there's a lot more tape out there. The scoring is going to come down. I keep asking myself, okay, CJ, the time is going to come here in the next 60 days where you're going to have to go be the guy. I'm asking 5 weeks in, do we trust him to be that guy?
Well, I tell you what, let's answer that question after this.
Oh, that's a tease.
Timeout. Right now, I want to tell you guys about Mazda. Mazda crafts for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every model. Like our players, we sweat every detail, like I said, because we make every moment count. Impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved.
I was looking at some of the numbers for the Houston Texans. Welcome back, Texan fans. Against the Rams averaged 112 rushing yards on the year, 72 against Houston. Jags, one of the better rushing teams in the NFL, 137, 86 rushing yards against Houston. I just want to shout out the Texans for doing a good job of taking away things that the opposing offense is pretty good at or decent.
Very decent at. And they have a guy on the other side that Stan was asking us a question about, number 7. And we're going to get to the Joe Mixon thing here shortly. Stan, you asked, does CJ need to put his cape on? I don't know if he needs to.
Do you trust that he will be able
to? Do I trust that he will? I think my confidence is back after the last 2 weeks. Again, I know the opponents, but I just felt like I saw a more confident player, a guy making decisions that look more like rookie CJ Stroud. Obviously, there's a little bit more time in the pocket. Now, we'll see how that goes against tougher opponents and whatnot. But my confidence is going in the right direction to where I believe, yes, it can happen. John,
Hickman, you trust him? He makes me laugh when he does that.
Well, I'm
Tell
kind
the
of
truth, John.
I'm partially with MC on this one. The last 2 weeks have been encouraging.
Bulls go.
However, I can't get those first 3 weeks out of my mind yet.
Because trust your eyes. Trust all your eyes.
I can't. I got 4 of them. I cannot do it just yet. So, that said, does Houston need for CJ to put that cape on? 100%. Do I trust that he'll put the cape on and the cape will hold up? Not just yet. Not just yet.
I'm going to answer my own question. If I had to say 5 games in, do I trust at the end of the year that this team is going to be humming like they have the last 5 quarters? My answer would be no. I don't trust that. Here's why. The competition gets better. The Texans aren't necessarily deep at a lot of positions. I think the offensive line at the end of the day is still an issue for me. I think late in the year, when things get nip and tuck, I don't know that I'm going to be able to trust that offensive line to hold up. Yes, and some people are all over me over here in the comments. Somebody, who was it? There he is. There's our guy, Oladipo. He's all over me again. No, PFF does not tell the whole story, but numbers matter. That's why we track them. So it's a combination of the tape and the numbers. I do not trust this offensive line versus real competition. And I'm going to give you the one that's burning in my head. I saw Josh Hines Allen. I saw Jeffrey Simmons. I saw, it wasn't even Jared Verse. It was Byron Young. I saw Vita Vea. Like, every time we go up against one of those guys, the offensive line struggles.
To that point, they have done a better job and had a more concentrated effort. Like I said, all hands on deck. We're seeing Blake Fisher out there. We're seeing Dalton Schultz. We talk about him as a pass catcher. The last 2 games, his effort blocking. Brendan Bates, Harrison Bryant. So Houston's approach right now, based off of the film and what they put out there, if you get on the field, put your hands on somebody for running that ball. You even see Xavier Hutchinson getting some action. You
Excellent in the block game. Yes.
Block game.
Yes.
Hutchinson, he opened up the 27-yard touchdown.
That was the Chubb touchdown. Yes.
So it's not gonna be just 5 guys that we're gonna look at in terms of blocking. It's gonna be all of them who's out there in line. If it's a running play, the guys out wide as well to create rushing lanes. But the protection for CJ, you are right, needs to stay at a consistent where they are right now. If it drops too low, we're gonna be singing a sad song, y'all. Especially against Seattle, because they cause problems from the inside out.
For sure. Yeah, Leonard Williams is a problem. No question about that. Yeah, Leonard Williams is an excellent player. That is difficult
for teams to handle when you got 2 disruptive guys inside your tackles that can disrupt the entire offensive line from their position. So Houston's going to have a tough task when they get back to playing football.
MC, going back to the Cape perspective of CJ Stroud, when I watch the upcoming opponents and when I look at the landscape of the league, Sam Darnold in Seattle is an MVP candidate. He's 3rd in passer rating and 2nd in QBR right now in the league. Watch their players. One of those Ohio State wide receivers, Jackson Smith-Njigba, has been excellent. Cooper Kupp still contributes. Charbonnet running the football and Kenneth Walker the third. Like they have explosive pieces behind a very good offensive line. I'm not gonna say great, but very good offensive line. I get concerned, CJ and the Cape, if they get lured into, now they may not have to worry about it because of that Texas defense. But if they get lured into a shootout, I don't know that this team is built, or if they get down, if this Texas team gets down 12, 14, 17 points, I don't know that the firepower is there for CJ to pull him out of it. Now, maybe he can.
Has there been anything from you guys that you can point to and say, well, you know what? If they maximize this area of their game, which has been pretty good, you have more faith in what CJ's been able to do, how they've been able to run the ball, and how they've been able to protect the quarterback.
Two names come to mind to answer that question directly. And it was perfect because it's in my notes. Nico Collins is still a dog. The formula on offense is not hard. Find 12. Find as many ways as possible. Targets. Yeah, find as many ways as possible to get 12 to football. It's not that difficult to do. The other one, and I'm going to compare 12 with Dalton Schultz. Do you know that Dalton Schultz has one less reception than Nico, but Nico has nine more targets? Dalton Schultz, I went and looked at the numbers this afternoon. There are only 5 tight ends in the NFL putting in more work than Dalton Schultz right now from the reception game. Now, I don't need PFF to tell me that. And it's all the names that you would expect, guys. So, like, Dalton Schultz is in the mix. He's going to get some Pro Bowl nomination if he can continue to keep this up. So I can count on Dalton Schultz. I can count on Nico. I think I can count on whatever this version is of Nick Chubb. What else can I can't count on Hutch to do that every week. I can't count on Nolan Higgins to do that every week. And I'm going to say it because it needs to be said. I have been underwhelmed. He's done some good things, but I've been underwhelmed when Christian Kirk is getting top 20 wide receiver money this year. I hadn't seen that.
16 targets, 10 catches in 3 games.
Is that fair?
I think you expected him to be more of that slot guy, and it hadn't been a lot of that so far, right?
Thank you. So I'm just saying, you asked me the question, MC. I can't count on British Brooks to give me that. Granted, he had 2 carries.
You
was for positive yards.
You know what you can count on?
What's that?
Woody Marks.
He leveled somebody in the pass pro game again.
Aren't you? You're going to trust a rookie eventually, aren't you?
I'm there on Woody Marks in the pass pro. He's shown me he's willing to go what we call, he's willing to put his face in the fan. It means he's willing to put his face mask. Yeah, I'm okay with Woody Marks in pass pro. Of course, I'm okay with Woody Marks as a receiver. He hadn't shown me yet that I can put the ball in his belly 20, 22 times and he's going to take us home. That's like the last little part. And when it gets cold and late in the year and you got to run it and everybody knows you got to run it. So, no, I don't put Woody Marks in the same category. I trust Schultz. I trust Nico. And that's it. Everybody else has to show me. And then, of course, I trust that defense. I really love that defense. EJ Speed on tape. EJ Speed had him a day against Baltimore. Brother flying around playing some good football.
But it was against the Baltimore Ravens, Dan.
It was against the Ravens. It was against the Rupert Cut.
We can't say that against the offense and then not say the same thing.
It's fair.
For the defense.
Derrick Henry played.
He did. And they made him finally look completely human.
And Derrick Henry, he would have looked different if Lamar had been there. And I still believe that.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
You know what? I do want to point out, MC, before you take it over. Yeah. Jaden Higgins on the year, the rookie. 9 catches on 10 targets. If the ball is coming his way, he's coming down with it outside of that one time. I think that they have to find a way to get him the ball more often.
Well, they might if he stopped getting penalties every bleeping game, every other game, let me be fair. Every other game, Jaden Higgins got a penalty. He got called for the legal screen and took the touchdown away from, what was that? The other tight end.
I think it was it Bryant?
Yeah, it might have been Bryant. And I think Hutch came back and got it a couple plays later or something like that. And I'm joking. Higgins is all right. Now, John, will you be honest with me?
I
Oh,
will.
this is a monumental moment, MC.
All right, man.
John, are you a teeny-weeny bit underwhelmed by Jaden Higgins thus far? Did you think he would have more impact 5 games in as a second-round pick than he has? Be honest with your boy.
I did think he would have more of an impact on the game through 5 games. Why I'm not going to say I'm underwhelmed is not because of him. Like I just mentioned, 10 targets, 9 catches. When the ball has come his way, he's come down with it. This offense, especially in the first 3 weeks, where we were sitting here talking about, okay, these rookies, you drafted them top 100 picks, and they're not getting on the field, that matters. If guys not on the field, if this offense is very much so, we got Nico and the rest of the guys, you kind of get in where you fit in, those targets and opportunities are not going to come to him as often as we may need him to. But through 5 weeks, it's been a combination of you put the ball out there, he'll come down with it, but he's not having those opportunities enough. And that has led to his lack of impact for this offense.
MC, you were captain of the Higgins fan club. We're about a quarter of the way through the season. Will you admit to a nationally televised or nationally streamed, globally streamed audience, will you admit that you're a bit underwhelmed by Higgins' production thus far?
I'm on the John train. I'm underwhelmed. But I say that because I'm also underwhelmed at their usage of Nico Collins. There's not that there's anything wrong with spreading the ball out. I just don't think that they target guys enough.
Like, I agree with that.
That's what
I agree with that part.
I think my evaluation is just incomplete, just completely incomplete. Right, so, am I disappointed that there's not more production? Yes, but I'm not ready to kill him yet necessarily because I don't feel like they're looking for him.
We watch whole games, and I'm being serious now. And I don't have anything against Higgins. I'm just playing people that are in the comments. I'm just playing around here. I mean, I'm being serious, but I'm playing around.
Well, say he's not playing around.
I'm being serious, but I'm playing around. All right, so look. Ask yourself if Nick Caserio should have gone to get Ibuka, or if he should have traded out like he did and gotten Higgins. If we could ask Caserio, what do you think he should have done?
That is easy. He should have been the Emeka Ibuka.
I mean, Ibuka, honestly, is Ibuka getting anywhere close to the numbers he is in Tampa?
Yes.
I don't know that. Based on the way that CJ Stroud's targeting guys 5 times a game, I can't say it.
He's a baller. Yes. You get him.
I think what's really unfair, this is me being real. If you take a look at the established offense in Tampa, comparing it to this offense in Houston that is still trying to find its way in identity. Because to MC's point, if we use Nico Collins as the poster child of this wide receiver unit, if he's only getting 5 targets a game, 6 targets a game, then that speaks to the rest of the pecking order of these guys on his roster. If he make us getting an average of 8 to 9 per game compared to your number 1 receiver here in Houston, who's been in the league for 5 years, if he's only getting 5.5, then that speaks to the offense.
Point, and I will see your point. Allow me to rebut, please. Tampa has one of the worst offensive line situations in the league. It's as bad as Houston. We saw that live on Monday Night Football at NRG in week 2. They got a center playing tackle, and then they got Charlie Head coming off the bench playing the other tackle because the starter Gadecki couldn't go out there and continue the game. He gave it a go, and he was done in the first quarter. Also, Nico Collins is not a rookie in the National Football League. CJ Stroud is not a rookie in the National Football League, nor is Dalton Schultz, nor is Nick Chubb, nor is Christian Kirk, who started the year hurt for the first 2 games. Get it? So when you say an established offense in Tampa and how Ibuka is being used versus how Higgins is not being used, I'm not saying that both of those guys are obviously pro prospects. Both of those guys deserve to be in the league. I'm just saying I don't know that the situations are as dissimilar as what you would have us to believe. I just think dude is a baller, and he's got an offensive coordinator that's putting the ball in his hands. And if he was here, he would be doing some of the same things because CJ is as talented as Baker. They do some different things.
Yeah.
Do we still question the whole rookies in this system? Like, is that
Yeah, you have to.
does that get brought up?
You could be up to something. You could be onto something, rather, excuse me. But I just look at the recent wide receivers. Now, who was that? Marvin Harrison Jr. struggled last year in Arizona, but then we watched him the other night. It looked like he might have had a coming out party. But, I mean, you go down the list. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Chris Olave. I mean, how many other Ohio State receivers? Dudes, they ball in all different types of systems. So I can't imagine it would have been a stretch. Now, Caserio has his justification for trading out of 25 and not going up to grab Ibuka at 19. But I said it then during the draft. Let me circle this Ibuka situation, because I was standing on the table then, and just because they scored 70 points in the last 5 quarters, I have not moved off of this. I think in the end, it's the offense that's going to cost this team more success in the postseason because they don't have enough guys like Ibuka.
Baker Mayfield has 30 more attempts than CJ Stroud. I put it out there for the offense conversation. Like, the offense that they run in Houston and Baker Mayfield compared to in Tampa, Baker Mayfield having a full control of that offense allows for the volume of where the ball goes.
Well, but we said CJ had control, so you want me to believe
Ohio State? But wait a minute. Control after the first offseason compared to control after this is what, year 3 for Baker in Tampa?
Yeah.
Come on, Stan. You know that's different.
MC, I'm not trying to hijack and make it a revisionist history, but so much. I disagree with John.
That's different.
I'm coming back simply saying, both of you told me Higgins was a baller. I told you he was more of a project than he is impact guy year 1. And I just wanted to, we'll tap in again. Let's get about the halfway point of the season.
A lot of time left. Again.
Yeah, he may come along, but thus far, we're all disappointed that Higgins isn't more impactful.
Well, I'll tell you what, before we get out of here, because we only got a few minutes left, I did want to get to this real quick. They could be adding something to the offense at some point. We're going to move our trade deadline discussion to Friday show because we do what we do. We've got a whole Friday show we can get to making additions to this football team and whatnot. But Nick Caserio today spoke to the media, and the topic, of course, came up of Joe Mixon. What's the latest on Joe Mixon, Nick Caserio?
Oh,
yeah, I think probably over the next few weeks we'll probably have a better idea. He's making progress, so I wouldn't put a particular timetable on it. So I think over the next 3-4 weeks, probably get a little more information here, kind of see how he's progressing. But taking one day at a time. But I think once we kind of get to that period, probably have a better sense of which way it's going to go, for the duration of the year.
Nick Caserio is lying to your faces right now. That's my opinion of listening to this. He knows exactly which direction this is going to go. He's just delaying the inevitable that he's not going to play this season. Is that how you guys walked out of that answer?
John?
A little bit, but I also think what he said they got 3 to 4 weeks to reevaluate Joe Mixon. And
so that's week.
Listen, you see what I'm
that's
going?
Week. This is week 6. So they'll play week 7.
You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah. So you at about week 8, week 9 before we reevaluate.
So around the time they reevaluate, we'll be creeping up on
Christmas
trade deadline, and we'll also be creeping up on, does it even make sense to put him out there on the field if we're not in a real position to make the playoffs? I think that's what the Houston Texans are kind of really waiting on in terms of revealing more. No source involved here. This is
we have our source real quick. In the comments, John, we have our source. We figured it out. There's the answer. Mixon went to the gas station to get cigarettes, never came back. Thank you, Efron.
All right, man. Okay.
Put your mama on the phone. It's Richie. Take it easy.
I ain't never coming back.
But look, I love that scene. By the way, if y'all don't get the inside, this is a scene from Harlem Nights.
Harlem Nights.
I love when he called.
Best
He
comedy.
said, "Put your mom on the phone." When she gets on the phone, he says, "Hey, it's Richie." She knows it's you, fool. Okay, Joe Mixon.
Yeah, but I think that they're
will
waiting
we
to
see
see
Joe
how
Mixon?
they paying themselves out.
Will we see Joe Mixon in a Texans uniform this season?
No, for me.
I'm going to say, let's see where they are in by Thanksgiving. Let's see where they are at the trade deadline. If they got a shot to make a run, I can see them saying, "Okay, Joe, we're going to need you to gut this one out." If it looks like, yeah, it's just not going to happen this year, then I can see them telling Joe, "Look, man, you got some money from us this year. You got one. Okay, cool. Coming off that Pro Bowl year last year, you were entitled to some money. We didn't think you were going to beat us for a whole nother year, but you got us for some bread. And okay, appreciate the rest of your career." At that point, Joe Mixon won't put on a Texans uni again in the foreseeable future at that point.
I agree.
I hope we see Joe, because I'm going to be honest with you. I think the key in unlocking this offense is two things for me.
Before you say what you say, remember, because I think I'm going to add to your point here. Joe Mixon was hit behind the line of scrimmage a lot in 2024. And he still found a way to get past the line of scrimmage and get Houston 3 yards here, 4 yards here. I think in the entire league, he was the running back that faced the most hits at or behind the line of scrimmage, and he still found a way. So to your point that I think you're going to make, Stan, you need aliens. Can Joe Mixon be that alien for a Houston Texan team?
So the two positions that I was going to say, if the Texans could get Joe Mixon healthy, ramped up, and ready to go for November, December, and God let us hope January football, and they need another receiver. I think that's pretty obvious. So some people will say, "Oh, don't you need another lineman?" They clearly don't think they need another lineman. They traded Cam Robinson. They feel like what they got is good enough. So it doesn't make sense. Like at some point, it would just be a fantasy for me. And then who's letting go? It ain't like Tristan Wirfs is going to be on the trade block at the deadline. You know what I mean? Like
linemen, not receivers. We're not going to demand a trade, especially when we're making big money. So, we ain't going to get no diva offensive lineman out there.
Yeah, for me, if they can get Joe and get another, like a veteran, like a real receiver. I'm trying to think of somebody.
There's no Olave.
Well, that's gonna be
maybe call him
maybe
call him Minnesota to see what they want for Jordan Addison, who didn't play the first quarter, didn't play a lot in the first half. Maybe they want to move on from him because
Olave is interesting. A guy like, if Baltimore's going nowhere, hey, let us get Nuke Hopkins for the rest of this run. Bring Nuke back to Houston and see where he fits in. A guy like Nuke can help you in a playoff run. I'm not saying he's going to change the world. He didn't look wise versus Texans. He just had a dude that couldn't get him the ball. But I like the Olave. That's another one that I would be like, okay, something like that.
I know man, I don't even. You know what? I'm not going to get into the trade deadline talk. I'm going to keep it at Joe Mixon. The value that Joe Mixon brings, I think you'll get a full running back group. Neither of those guys will be out there for majority of the snaps. 30 here, 30 there, 25 to 27 here for whoever on the day of the game. No.
Oh, yardage.
Percentage of snaps.
Oh, percentage of snaps. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, 30% here, 35% here, maybe 25 here. Depending on the matchup, depending on the game plan for the week, you'll be able to kind of pick out which running back you want to be the lead or have the majority of the snaps, because that's what Houston has been doing, essentially starting in the Jacksonville Jaguars game. Depending on that matchup, that's what we're going to see more of. Joe Mixon just brings a different element that I think both running backs does well. Joe Mixon does it well altogether. So you look at Chubb being a downhill runner, that's Joe Mixon. You look at his ability to maybe have some impact out of the backfield as a pass catcher, that's Joe Mixon. Woody Marks does that well. So, you get a full running back room that you can lean on, and CJ Stroud can lean on. Of course, you get a vet back there that understands protections and understands what his role needs to be as a running back.
Be nice to have him. And I tell you what, our homework, like I mentioned a moment ago, is going to be to come to the Friday show with names of who we like in terms of trades, or early look at the trade deadline, because we didn't get to our deep discussion today. Well, we got Friday's show to do that as well. Parting shots, gentlemen, to say goodbye to the fine people tonight. John?
Man, yeah. You talk about this defense being the best in the NFL. The last 3 games, the second best, actually tied for number 1, third down percentage defense in the league. 32 pressures. 28 of those pressures come from Will and Daniil. 18 of those pressures and 3 sacks come from Will Anderson. That edge duo makes life extremely easier for everyone on that defense. And they've been causing this defense to be able to keep their team in games. Shout out to Will and Daniil Hunter.
You actually stole mine. I said we giving the offense so much love today in terms of our conversation. I was like, man, let me flip over here to the defense. I'm going to say a guy, and I was just looking to make sure I didn't miss the awards for the week. I don't think they have come out yet in terms of, defensive player of the week and all of those things. Devin Lloyd from the Jacksonville Jaguars, who has more interceptions at linebacker than any other secondary player in the league. He's probably going to get it for the AFC, but don't be surprised if Jalen Petrie doesn't get defensive player of the week in the AFC for those 2 interceptions and what was just an absolute wallop that nobody saw coming up in Charm City at M&T Bank Stadium on Sunday. Jalen Petrie allows – first of all, he's a D'Amico guy. And I heard D'Amico say that today in his presser. He's like, if you want to know, like, how we do things in Houston, follow Jalen Petrie. We know how he feels about Will Anderson. We know how he feels about Azeez. Petrie's in that group. Petrie is one of his staple pieces, and I was happy to see Petrie healthy. He got his contract this offseason. The 2 interceptions, that's now 3 in the last 3 games. We know he's not a true outside cover guy. We know he's not really a true middle of the field safety. We know he's not a real true will linebacker. He's exactly what D'Amico dreamt that the star or the nickel corner should be. How D'Amico is deploying him is perfect for Jalen Petrie, and I think he unlocks a whole bunch of stuff for this Texas defense. So I want to shout out my man 5, Jalen Petrie.
Yeah, big week for him as well. And I want to shout out today just to D'Amico Ryans and to Matt Burke. Maybe we'll play it Friday. I did not love Nick Casario's answer today when he was asked about D'Amico handing off to Matt Burke, the play calling. I thought it was pretty crappy of him to downplay it like he did. I think that you need to give praise to both the coach and the play caller that have gone out there and executed this thing. So I had a problem with that. So I just thought that those 2 guys deserved a little bit of love today because, well, they're putting up a good defense. How about that offense? Let's keep it going. We will be back Friday. We'll get deeper into the trade deadline stuff. Like I said, we can bring up that comment as well. Maybe you guys tell me if I'm crazy or not for my thoughts on it being crappy or not. We'll get to all of it. Of course, between now and then, listen to John at the Daily Podcast. For Stan and John, we appreciate you guys stopping by to watch live. We'll talk to you Friday on the Locked On Texans squad.